I'm Kevin Davis, and this is the Catholic Family Podcast, and I'm honored to be joined by, well, I think I can call you a friend of the show. It's been a while since we've had on
Absolutely.
Dr. Peter Chojnowski, but we've done quite a few shows in the past. It's always a pleasure, and it's always really, really, truly one of the most fascinating topics that we cover. I mean, it really is almost it's unbelievable. I mean, the entire topic. It's like every couple months there's some big news event. It's like, okay, I have to talk to Dr. Chojnowski because something else happened. Because there's something always happening with this. It's just incredible. It's like some news event, something new, some new study, and now the Fatima Center admitting there's a fake. They faked Sister Lucy. And again, when we talk about Sister Lucy, we're talking about Lucia of Fatima. That's the very basic overall idea. She was one of the seers of Fatima.
Yes.
Who saw, Our Lady. Later saw, I just spoke with our Lord and Our Lady, etc. There's a lot that goes on in the background as opposed to that topic.
And asked for a miracle, and she was given the miracle of the Son, one of the greatest miracles in the history of the church. So.
Which was witnessed by 80,000 people or something like that. So I saw that the other day. Was that what it was? 60, 70, 80,000. Just it's unbelievable. And that's something that's like you can't discredit this. It was seen by thousands of people and newspaper. Yeah, exactly.
People were converted. Masons who were there to mock were converted and said, no, it happened. We have to publish the pictures. So she's an important individual. And I would assert that her destiny and what happened to her is very important and shouldn't be dismissed and has to be looked into, because maybe the whole history of the church, sort of the history of the world as it's unfolded in the 20th and 21st century, sort of is related to her history and what happened to her message that she was given at Fatima. So it's a very important topic, and we're very happy. We at Sister Lucy Truth are very happy that the Fatima Center acknowledged that this is the fact, that there was a fake imposter put before the world from 1967 at least until 2005. So that's a positive achievement. And we salute the Fatima Center for acknowledging it. Of course, there's other problems we have with their analysis, and we'll discuss those today.
No, and it's so much to do with the hard work that you've done, that others related with your project have done, that it's gone for a long time. I suppose you could say unrewarded. I don't know if that's the right word, but I mean, but it is. It's great to see now that there's so much evidence. And again, if anyone's interested, let me pull that up. I mean, sisterlucytruth.com. I think you can find it. I think also .org, I believe.
Yes,
is that right,
both,
Doctor? Yeah.
Both, yes.
Both work. And go check it out, because it's incredible. I mean, and truly, truly incredible, the amount of evidence that they have acquired. And it's so much so that the Fatima Center has to say, they have to admit, that this, it can't be the same one. We admit it. And then I guess, Doctor, I don't know if you want to talk about exactly, they admit it, and then they go, but we admit it, it is a fake, but don't go any farther. Just not. You admit that they faked this person. They put in a replacement human being, and then it's just, it's fine. It's fine. Who cares? No, just guys, don't no conspiracy theories here. Just go, just be quiet, be calm. It's like, what are you talking about? They replaced someone who is, as you said, one of the most important Catholic figures of the 20th century, unquestionably.
The most
famous
nun of
course. And we're just and we just close our eyes. Oh no, it's fine. So I guess, Doctor, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk first, if we want to go through first their comments. Well, what exactly did the Fatima Center say?
I'm going to read the basic statement that was pinned underneath the video that they came out with, and we'll just go from there. So this was a speech given by David Rodriguez at a Fatima Center conference, apparently in Dallas, Texas. And the video is entitled "Sister Lucia Assassinated?" Hidden? Replaced? And then the pinned quote says the following: "The Fatima Center's position is that it has been established with reasonable certainty that the woman presenting herself as Sister Lucia in all known public photos from 1967 onward was not the true Lucia. That is a sweeping statement,
Whew.
and it is also accurate.
Yeah.
According to our research. So good for them on that, and it's an accomplishment for all those who have been trying to put forward the fact, now the conspiracy fact of the substitution of Sister Lucy by some imposter. So it's a big achievement. I think it'll lead to other achievements and other acknowledgments as we go down the road. And hopefully we're at the point where we can just say there was a fake, and then we can ask the question, well, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
What really happened? And get into that investigation, because I think it's been proven, as they say, beyond reasonable doubt that there was an imposter put in her place.
Well, and I think that was interesting when we covered a couple months ago the church militant,
Right.
hit job they attempted on Sister Lucy Truth, and it was a joke. It was a total farce.
You allowed us to refute that video.
Oh, it was a shame.
It was a joke because it wasn't based on any serious investigation of the issue.
Right.
I think I pronounced a word wrong somewhere along.
Right. Exactly. Well, and what amazed me though was that I watched their video, and it's like, okay, this is terrible. I mean, Christina Niles she did a terrible job reporting. I mean, maybe she was distracted with the other stuff at Church Militant. That's certainly possible. But what was amazing was I went and looked through the comment section of their video. So on Church Militant, their video is shocking. It's shocking that it was, at least when I read it, this was months ago. I think it was 95% people saying, no, you're wrong. This is definitely not the same. It was incredible. And you saw, so whatever they're trying to report, the normal, people out there, the normal Catholics are saying, no, we see this. We can see this is not the same person. And for me, my big question is, okay, why? But I think, again, your question is much more of the research, much more of the policing of it, I suppose, the investigative, okay, what then, and I think that's right. That's what you do. Mine is more like, okay, why would they replace her? But I think it's just as important. Okay. Yeah. What happened to her? Where did she go? Was she killed? Was she put into a convent somewhere? But I think to at least get this acceptance that they admit now she was replaced. That's incredible.
They admit she was replaced. And again, using their language in all known photos. Right. And videos from 1967 to 2005. That's a big admission. Huge. Because the woman, and I want to make this point because I have to deal with many things that they've said that they acknowledge as reasonably certain that all the appearances from 1967 to 2005 were of a fake. So all the video, all the photographic evidence shows that it was a fake. But, okay, and this is the thing, they do go after me quite intensely in the article and the video, because also the Fatima Crusader, I don't know if we mentioned it, dedicated a whole issue to this Sister Lucy question. Mm-hmm. The Fatima Crusader here, the whole issue was dedicated to the question of the fake Sister Lucy. Okay. And in the course of that issue, they acknowledged that there was a fake. And so, but there's a lot of other things included in that issue, and I have to deal with them because it's very important. First of all, they go after the language that I've used. I've given 100 interviews on Sister Lucy Truth over the course of the last 5 years. And, you try to explain the information as you're finding it and try to draw some logical conclusions. And when we found that this there's a different woman in the place of the real Sister Lucy, and the real Sister Lucy doesn't appear anywhere in photographic or video evidence. You have to come up with a term to describe what happened. We think in 1959, around there, but certainly by 1967, when the fraud appeared with Paul VI for the first time. So I use the word eliminated, and sometimes I use the word disappeared, but they focus on the word eliminated. And I'm searching for words to use, and by eliminated, I could mean, and possibly I mean, she's eliminated from the public view, right? That's certain. She was eliminated from the public view. Whether they eliminated her in any sinister way is an open question. But they certainly eliminated her actual persona from the public view. So to attack my use of that word, I think is petty. And also I've used the word disappeared. It's not a very good word. I mean, it's not very grammatical, but I think it's accurate. She's gone, and she doesn't appear again. And the funny thing is, they admit that she was disappeared.
Yeah.
The only strange thing is that they insist upon there being a phantom Sister Lucy, a Sister Lucy that is not in the public view at all. There's a fake. There's Sister Lucy imposter in meeting with John Paul II, meeting with Paul VI, meeting with Cardinal Ratzinger, meeting with Cardinal Bertone, and pictures appear all over the place. Voting, this fake Sister Lucy's voting.
Eu esqueci de trazer o cartão de leitura, mas como já sou tão conhecido, é esse, Sérgio.
E chama-se
Maria Lúcia de Jesus, Maria Lúcia, não sei como está aqui.
Rosa dos Santos.
Como?
Maria Lúcia Rosa dos Santos.
Este.
444. 444.
We have her on her deathbed, pictures of her on her deathbed, receiving a letter from John Paul II when she's on her deathbed. So we see her, and on book covers, the books that she supposedly wrote, and it's the fake. So she appears all over the place. But the Fatima Center insists that there was a phantom Sister Lucy who was in the background, and it was the real Sister Lucy, all right? But no one saw her, but everyone was meeting with her. No one took excuse me, let me just say this. No one has any photographic or video evidence that this phantom Sister Lucy existed. The Sister Lucy one, behind the scenes, continuing to live, continuing to exist, continuing to write letters, continuing to meet with people. They insist on this. They have no evidence for it at all. And they're saying that this went on, and their evidence is quite disturbing, I think, because it's hearsay. Their evidence is hearsay. We tried to come up with, and we did come up with forensic evidence, analyzed by experts that can be judged in a scientific way using one technique or another, depending on the specialty of the specialist. But they're relying on what people said Sister Lucy said behind the scenes. without any photographic evidence, without any video evidence that we can look at and say, no, okay, that's really her. In that meeting in 1982, that was really her that this priest was meeting with. There's no evidence to that in that regard at all. And
sorry, I just think, I mean, I think I've heard the term Occam's razor, which I think maybe you know better than I do, Doctor. But it's the idea that the most likely scenario is often the case. And to me, you know, if you look, if you think of it, if I was abducted, you know, no, let's not say that. Not abducted. Sorry, starting on the wrong premise. But I mean, if someone is trying to replace me,
I'll blow the whistle if that happens.
Thank you. But if someone was replacing me, they put someone else out in front, you know, and that's admitted. There's someone else that is pretending to be me and telling it, you know, different, you know, saying different things than I would likely say. What are they going to do with me? Because if I come out, because the Occam's razor means that the actual Kevin Davis has to be at the very least hidden. Because if I come out and then say what I actually think, then the person who's pretending to be me is going to be obviously useless. What they say is meaningless because they're clearly not me. Plus, it's basic common sense.
Plus, your wife is meeting with you behind the scenes. Your children are meeting with you. Your father's meeting with you. Your brothers are meeting with you, and they don't say anything about the fact that someone else is, you know, on Catholic Family Podcast saying that it's Kevin Davis. They say nothing.
Right.
See, this is the thing. The whole argument of the Fatima Center in this issue and in these videos is simply this: the Sister Lucy behind the scenes with these various people in these various interviews was saying the same thing as the Fatima Center has said, but mostly about the consecration of Russia, mostly about that. So this person behind the scenes is saying the same thing about the consecration of Russia that the Fatima Center is saying. Therefore, it must be the real Sister Lucy.
Real quick, Doctor, what is that? What is the Fatima Center saying about the consecration of Russia?
The consecration had not yet happened, as Our Lady asked it to happen.
Okay.
So if that woman says, whoever's behind the scenes says that this consecration has not happened as it's supposed to happen, therefore it's the real Sister Lucy. What does that mean? How is that an argument? We're asking the ontological question: is this person Sister Lucia dos Santos, who saw the miracle of the sun in 1917 and spoke to Our Lady and our Lord, by the way, and Archangel Michael, and saw a manifestation of the Holy Trinity, right? Just because a woman behind the scenes to various priests and individuals says the consecration of Russia has not yet happened, that means it's the same person?
Right.
That argument is absurd. That's just a specious argument, but that's the argument they're making over and over again, and I find it bizarre. And it's because we're trying to present forensic evidence, and they're basically putting forward hearsay. So,
and even hearsay after admitting that the one in public is not the real Sister Lucia. So it's like it's such a. I watched the video from Mr. Rodriguez, and it's like, okay, oh, you admit, you admit that this is clearly not the same person, and then he's like, oh, but actually, everything else past that is a conspiracy theory. That's almost verbatim. That's pretty much what he says, and it's like, well, how do you come to that conclusion? Based on what? You know, I mean,
well, they say in the article, well, if there was no real Sister Lucy alive from say 1960 on, someone would have said something. Someone would have reported it. Some friend would have reported it. Some priest friend, some family member would have reported it. But their scenario, think about their scenario for one moment. There's a fake Sister Lucy appearing with Paul VI John Paul II, at this critical moment, John Paul II went to meet with her, 1982, after the assassination attempt on him, and she's meeting, and the whole world knows about it. And then afterwards, oh, Sister Lucy, they're coming out with books, and at the same time, that as this fake, which they acknowledge to be a fake, is on the world stage all over the place, not just on a few occasions, but all over the place in so many different venues. At the same time, there's hundreds of people, basically, from what they talk about. There's hundreds of people through all these years meeting with the real Sister Lucy and talking to the real Sister Lucy. Well, Fatima Center, okay, just who I've worked with for 15 years, okay, closely. Okay, why would, if the Vatican is the one who pulled off this fake Sister Lucy, which I think that's the only possible in the Catholic Church, that's the only possible answer, that the Vatican was behind the whole thing. I mean, nothing else makes sense. Then any one of those people who met with her during this time, hundreds of people, any one of them could have said, wait a minute, this woman that I met with is not the same woman on the TV. Is not the same woman who met with Paul VI and John Paul II and who is voting. That's not the same woman I'm meeting with. What is this? This is a fraud. Okay? This is a fraud. And here's my testimony. Here's a picture I took of the real Sister Lucy. And she's, angry, or she's angry that the consecration hasn't been done, or that the third secret hasn't been revealed as it was supposed to be revealed by 1960. She's angry, but she's really existing, in her cell in Coimbra. It could have blown the whole thing to smithereens if any one of those hundreds of people pointed out that fact, that there was a fake Sister Lucy. But nobody said that. Nobody said that. Nobody pointed that out. So they're all covering it up. How likely is that nobody says anything? That nobody says there's a fraud and there's two women? That it would be in public display and they would have seen the real Sister Lucy. And then they would see the fraud.
So what would be your argument then, Doctor? I mean, because I think the argument that I think I've found the strongest against the entire replacement of Sister Lucy is that, okay, what about her family? Why did her family? Because, I mean, we can say that, I mean, if her family, obviously they knew the real Sister Lucia, clearly, why wouldn't they have said something? Because, I mean, everyone else, maybe they've just met this new one who, was, a farce, but what about her family? Why wouldn't they have said something?
That's a good question. And, well, think about it. Just say, and that the real Sister Lucy disappeared prior to or around 1960. Okay. Well, her relatives say her nephews and nieces, okay, or her grandnephews and nieces, or her, basically that. They would never, many of them would never have known in any intimate way the real Sister Lucy. And her sisters, for example, they've said, Catalina has said that they would always have to meet with her, that they never saw her. She said to Father Kramer that they had never met with Sister Lucy face to face in 40 years.
Wow.
I asked Sister Lucia's sister, her own sister, her older sister, Carolina, told me that Lucia never used a typewriter or a computer. The letter I got was written on a computer. She didn't use those things. She always wrote in longhand, like the documentos. All the letters are in longhand. And she told me another interesting fact. She said that whenever she would visit her sister, Lucia, she was not allowed to speak with her privately. And she would sit with the other sisters at a distance so that she couldn't see close up who was this person.
But if you know anything about the Carmel, and I'm sure you do,
Right.
and many of our viewers would know it also, you have to meet behind the screen with the Carmelite. The Carmelite is behind the screen. And every account that I've heard, because we have some accounts on tape, and every account I've seen in pictures, always Sister Lucy is behind the screen, because that's what Carmelites do. And not only do they meet behind the screen, but they cover their face behind the screen. Even if they're behind the screen, they cover their part of their face. And also, every account I've seen about a meeting with Sister Lucy, she's surrounded by other nuns from that convent. So let's just say it's the easiest way to fake an individual is to put them in a Carmelite convent where you have limited access and you're meeting with someone behind a screen, surrounded by others who have a veil on their face. What better way?
True.
And also we assume that the family members are going to be very anxious to reveal something that in itself is sinister, would be sinister. We're very, I mean, that we say, well, why they would just shout it to the world. They go to the press. Really? Would that happen? We have many people. We have some people that we've run into who don't want to deal with us when we're trying to dig up the truth about what happened to Sister Lucy, because they're afraid. Right? They're afraid not of us, but of those who want to keep it secret. Those who want to keep the whole conspiracy secret and not reveal it to the world. They're afraid. If they can do this to the most famous nun in the 20th century, what can they do to me?
Sure. Yeah. Well, and I think
that wouldn't be a concern.
That's a great point. And I think that's kind of the scary thing, as you said, that this farce, which again, the Fatima Center is admitting, it was meeting with the supposed popes of the time. And if that's the case, then it has to go to the top. It just does. I mean, you can't deny it. It has to go to the top. And if it goes to the top, what does that mean? What does that imply? And it's a terrifying question. And I think again, that's kind of what I'm kind of more interested in, is like, okay, why would they do this? Why hide Sister Lucy? And I think there's a very deep, idea there of why they would do it.
And also, if Sister Lucy was willing to go along with the modernist revolution of Vatican II and the new Mass and everything that associated with it, if she was willing to go along with it, why did they fake her persona and risk someone finding out about the farce at one day? Because why would they risk it if the real Sister Lucy was willing to go along with the farce?
Exactly.
It was willing to go along with the farce. She would, if she was still alive, she would have to have gone along with the fraud and that public distortion and stealing of her persona, and gone along with everything that followed, and the farce and the fraud, like not revealing the third secret in 1960.
Right.
She would have had to go along with that. She would have had to go along with whatever the Vatican came up with in 2000
Right.
and say, well, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
That interpretation, which says that the third secret's about the assassination of John Paul II, that's fine. Even though there's no way on God's green earth that that's the meaning of the third secret of Fatima. There's no way.
Well, what's the story? Was it John the 23rd or was it Pius the 12th who read the secret and then like blanched and like wouldn't talk? I don't know if it's a true story, but I've heard this story where they read it and then they couldn't even talk for days. I think it was John the 23rd. And if that's true,
that's John Paul the First.
Was it John Paul the First? Okay, interesting.
Before he was elected, yeah, John Paul the First.
Okay.
Before he was elected, and no, it wasn't, and we haven't even gotten into this because it's too difficult. But he met with who would have been the fake Sister Lucy, and then he could not speak for weeks.
Okay.
And was in this state of shock. What did he realize when he met with her, this woman? He must have read the third secret. I can't imagine that he would have been elected, had the power to do it, and then not done it.
Right.
Even though he only lived a month after, that would have been one of the first things I pull out.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, how do you explain all these things? And he just covered it up. He met with the real Sister Lucy. He knows the person that appeared in 1967, and he says nothing, right? Is that plausible? I don't know. Talk about a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
That's a conspiracy theory, because you'd have to speak about a cover-up of everyone would be covering up. Hundreds of people would be covering up the fact that there's two Sister Lucys. Hundreds of people not saying a word. Saying a word. And that's implausible. More plausible is that she disappeared 1960. She was eliminated, and the new Sister Lucy was there from then on. And, they transitioned the person, the persona was stolen, and people acted like that's Sister Lucy. I never heard, and when I worked with the Fatima Center, I never heard about a fake Sister Lucy. Maybe they had it in some book or something somewhere, or Father Gruner made one statement somewhere to somebody, but I never heard one word about a fake Sister Lucy. I never saw a picture of Sister Lucy during that whole time, except when she was a child.
Mm-hmm.
So this hasn't been an issue, but now it's an issue. I mean, and of course, other people have raised the problem before Sister Lucy Truth did. I perfectly acknowledge that. But that's, they were trying to get at the truth, and they came to something. We just brought in the scientific verification that there were two Sister Lucys, and we're continuing to investigate the whole issue. We're continuing. I mean, there's some things coming in soon to sort of, but now we're in the stage of, well, what happened to the real one, and who is this fake? Because we don't say she was assassinated. She could have been assassinated. Everyone has to recognize that possibility. She could have died, and they replaced her way back in 1960.
Sure.
She could have been hidden away basically locked away, because I don't see how anything else is plausible. It could have been, that could be the case. We don't know. And I'm fully willing to say that, but that's a matter of investigation. But I think the idea that the real Sister Lucy was sort of in the Carmel of Coimbra, meeting with people, writing letters to people, and this fake is appearing in all public events as Sister Lucy and no one says anything about it, I think that's implausible, and that's really almost fantastic that would be the case. It's out of this world that would be the case.
I mean, on the flip side, I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing when you look at, say, the sexual perversion cover-ups of under JP2 or
Right.
that whole era. I mean, so they were very good about covering things up. But
Right.
I agree with you though. It just doesn't make sense. Again, if you just look at the most plausible reality, and I hope that's what our viewers see, that there's a lot of stuff that you still have to find. Did you say there's a lot of evidence? There's a lot of facts that are still just unknown. We just don't know.
Right.
But I think if you just use your common sense and say, okay, what is most likely? And then when you
Right.
have used the scientific evidence to say, hey, look, this woman and this woman are not the same. Okay, that's pretty well settled. I mean, Fatima
Right.
Center now says that's okay. That's settled. Now what? And I think that's a great point. And now it's like, okay, now what? So the question is, okay, yeah, where was this imposter from, and what happened to the real Sister Lucy? That's not an insane thing to try to figure out. And I think that's the amazing thing that you guys are trying to do. And I guarantee you, the more you do it, the more you're going to be disparaged, the more you're going to be attacked, because it's a scary thing. There are people who don't want you to find out what happened.
Right. It's people's narratives might have to change. Right.
Yeah.
The facts may have to change the narrative. The facts may have to change our narrative. We don't, for whatever narrative we have.
Right.
The facts, we have to deal with them, and it's part of a puzzle that's being put together. And I think it's clear. They keep in the article and the speeches, they keep going after me. Sometimes they mention my name, but sometimes not, as engaging in speculation. This is unproven speculation. Well, speculation is when you don't know something, you have a base of evidence, right? And you say, well, this is pretty certain, which they've admitted.
Yeah.
They've admitted that is pretty certain. Well, what's next? Speculation about what happened. You have to engage in that initial speculation in order to figure out, well, what are the options? What could have happened?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's think about it. What are the possibilities? All speculation is unproven, right? If we had proof, it wouldn't be speculation anymore. But we say we don't have proof as to what actually happened. It's still a matter of speculation. But I think some speculation is more verifiable and more plausible than other speculation. And it's the plausibility that we have to focus on, and it sort of leads our efforts forward. But I mean, speculation is good. It's not negative, and again, it's not unwarranted. That's another word they use, unwarranted. There has to be this speculation in order to move the whole process forward. And we have moved it forward. And they're acknowledging we've moved it forward.
Right.
They do acknowledge we moved it forward. And others now are picking up on it and acknowledging that we've moved it forward. So, okay, and then we speculate about what actually happened. So, I don't know. We have to be able to change our narrative depending on the evidence coming in, and that's something that's important. And one other thing they mention is that this speculation detracts from the Fatima message, detracts from living the Fatima message. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it helps clarify what the Fatima message actually is. Because if there was a fake, you can dismiss everything she said from the time that she appears on. So you can dismiss everything that she said in the 1992 and 1993 interviews with Carlos Evaristo. We can dismiss that when she says, well, Our Lady didn't, when she spoke about the conversion of Russia, she didn't mean its conversion to the Catholic faith. She meant the conversion to a liberal system where everyone has the freedom to decide what religion they want. That's what she said in those interviews.
Wow.
So since they have pictures of the fake meeting with Carlos Evaristo and a cardinal and other clergy, we can say that's not true. That's not that's not the Fatima message. And of course, Carlos Evaristo himself acknowledged that there was a fraud at the time. Well, he went to the police. He didn't do it publicly, but he went to the police. And they sent him to this Dr. Zugaby, who didn't say, Carlos, don't worry, she's in hiding. This is just a woman we put up front. No, he said to him, no, that's the real Sister Lucy. Don't worry, I've done the research. I have the evidence. So no one came up with this idea, put forward this idea of two Sister Lucys, one in hiding and one out on the public stage. So, but again, rather than distracting from the Fatima message, it helps like a scope sort of zero in on what the actual Fatima message is. And everything that we needed to know about the Fatima message, we were already given by 1960. All that was already done by 1960. The fake added things and distorted things and kept talking, contrary to this idea that she was just hidden. She produced book after book and biographies and accounts of her childhood and interpretations of the scriptures. And no, she wasn't just popped up a few times.
Right.
And on the book covers, there's always the picture of the fake Sister
Amazing.
Lucy too.
It's incredible. I mean, it's such an honor always to have you on, Dr. Chojnowski, because I mean, it's one of the greatest mysteries of our time. I truly
Absolutely.
believe that.
I think so.
And watching this unfold, which we've gotten to the last couple of years, it's like a neo-noir film. It's like you're this detective figuring it out. It's awesome. I mean, it really is an incredible thing to watch. And I highly recommend people to go check it out. Again, sisterlucytruth.com.org. I think they both work. And Doctor, I guess the last question I'd ask, because I know again how important this is, that what you're doing, and again the steps you've already made, you have gotten them to admit there was a fake. That's incredible. It's absolutely unbelievable. I didn't think they would do it. I didn't
expect that.
It's amazing. And so they admit it. And so Doctor, how do people support you for the next steps forward? And how can they literally aid in this process?
There's actually three main ways. People can put us in touch with, like experts, or like someone put us in touch with someone who lives in Fatima.
Wow.
And so that's like a contact. If you give us contacts, that helps a lot. Also on social media, if you spread our material on social media, we're a very shoestring operation here. So, if you spread our material, more and more people find out about it. And even this interview, if it's spread widely, so that helps a lot, because we just don't have the resources to do it ourselves. And also, I hate to say it, but financially, if people can donate, because these experts, they're experts, and therefore they charge fees for their hours that they work on our material, and we have to pay them, and we don't have that many financial resources at all. We have small donors, and but those people are, they're good people, they're generous people, but we don't have a lot of money. So any financial help that the people can give us to sort of produce videos, pay for these experts. That would be a great help. And so thanks for asking, because we do need, because things are getting interesting. That's for sure.
Oh, unbelievable! I'm surprised that these experts aren't secret flat Earth state of contests. I guess I would have expected all of these scientists to be already on your side. I'm not saying you're a flat Earth state of contest. I'm just you get my point. I'm just saying, but I mean that's what they think is that these are really, and these are some of the best in the world. This is what you really get. And again, people, go check it out. SisterLucyTruth.com. These are the best in the world, and they got to be paid.
Right,
so it's an amazing thing.
Some of them have said, well, why hasn't anyone looked into this before? Because
there's the question. There's a question.
So anyways, well, thanks for everything your show has done to put the truth forward. And hopefully we'll run into something exciting soon again. And
I have no doubt, Dr. Chojnowski, every time we talk, I know it'll be 2 or 3 months and we'll be right back with something exciting because it is, again, it's really one of the mysteries of our time. And it's something that I told my dad about it, or we talked about it a little bit. He's like, this is one of the biggest red pills. I don't know if you know the term red pill, but it's one of the biggest red pills in society. This idea that will wake people up to some things have really happened, in the 20th century that shouldn't have happened, that are kept secret, etc. And these are things we need to expose. And if we do, we're looking at a whole different ballgame. We're looking at it. The landscape could change completely. Whatever you want to interpret that as, if we start to realize that this whole thing could have been done by the hierarchy of the Vatican in the 1960s, you're going to start thinking, whoa, okay, wait a second. What does that mean? And that
what else did they do?
Start. Exactly. That's it. Yep. And so if you can hide, as you said, the most famous, the most important nun of the 20th century, and just get rid of her and replace her, and people admit that now, what does that mean? And people, I so encourage everyone to, when this video ends, sit back for 1 minute, close your eyes, and just consider that. If they did this, which everyone practically now admits they did replace her. Right. And if they did replace her, what does that mean? Please go support Dr. Chojnowski, SisterLucyTruth.com, because again, the more is coming. And I'm absolutely sure of that. It always does. The doctor is always coming up with something good. It really is. It's amazing. We're always coming back with it. Dr. Chojnowski, I really greatly appreciate what you do. I hope to have you back on in the next few weeks. I guess we'll see when you have something new coming up.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah,
definitely. Right. Everyone, please go support him. SisterLucyTruth.com, and please spread this, because really, right now, of all the things that are going to wake people up, the realization that the Vatican in the 1960s replaced Lucy of Fatima, it's going to wake people up. Let's do it. Let's do it now. Everyone, thank you very much for your support. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Go check it out. Dr. Chojnowski, SisterLucyTruth.com. Dr. Chojnowski, until next time, God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.